Dave Ramsey's baby steps helped me escape the debt trap.
And you know how you get rid of Sally Mae? You either pay her off in full or you die.
But then I read Die with Zero by Bill Perkins, and suddenly I started questioning everything. At first, these two philosophies seemed like total opposites. One preaches saving and investing for the future, while the other says we should spend intentionally and make the most out of life right now. But here's the crazy part. What if they actually work together? So stick with me here because this might change the way that you think about money forever. So I wanted to share a new perspective on personal finance, and it's really been kind of challenging my own worldview. Now, I know on this channel, I talk about productivity tips and like how to build a life that's actually in alignment on your values, which means you have to be clear on your own values and priorities to begin with. So that's a lot of what we talk about. But getting into the idea of personal finance and financial freedom, I was a little nervous to actually like talk about this stuff. It's so important to get after your own dreams and goals because financial freedom is the thing that really enables all the other freedoms in life that we dream about. So I've been a fan of Dave Ramsey's teachings for a while now, and I followed the baby steps to get out of debt and actually begin my own path towards financial freedom. However, I recently stumbled across this book. It's called Die with Zero by Bill Perkins, and it made me think really differently about how I approach money and like my own financial life. Here's the problem with accepting average. Let's face it. We know most people are stuck in a cycle of debt and living beyond their means. And you're just trying to keep up with the Joneses. I know Dave Ramsey talks about this stuff all the time. You're barely keeping minimum payments on your credit cards. This is how I think about the normalcy of debt. It's just become so normal. But it's really this predator that's waiting to pounce on anyone who's not careful. And it's the stealer of dreams. And it is the thief of hope. I think of it like closely tied to the, if you've ever seen an Office Space, the whole idea of the bland corporate American white collar existence that's going to a job just to pay the bills and the debts that we accumulate because of what's considered normal. We're talking like car payments, credit cards, student loans. All of it will drown your own ability to even like see your own potential because all the decisions you'll make in life will be through the lens of the financial constraints that you've put on yourself when you accept the normalcy of debt. It's the whole Dave Ramsey thing of like the borrower is indeed slave to the lender. It is a financial kind of servitude that you sign up for, but never realizing how horrible the consequences are. And that's the thing. I 1000% am shamelessly in the Dave Ramsey cult, as people say. Specifically, and probably most emphatically, the part of his message that is the idea that to escape this debt trap, you have to actually run like the gazelle away from the slaughter. Like there are guys in fancy suits in large high-rise buildings that work for giant financial mega corporations who want you trapped in this debt cycle. And it's not okay to accept the status quo. And to escape it, it isn't just like, oh, well, I'll just try to keep my payments low, or, oh, well, I'll just try to like dabble here and there. No, you should run away from these financial predators. So that's like the whole Dave Ramsey thesis that I very much agree with. But here's the Die with Zero concept. So the idea behind Die with Zero is that we should be spending less of our own resources, which is money, but also like time, energy. We should be spending these things intentionally and creating memories and experiences while we're able to. I would say this doesn't mean being like super reckless or irresponsible with our money, like taking out just putting the next 5 summer vacations on your Amex card and not even thinking about the interest that you're going to stack up. No, we're not talking about that. We're talking about being mindful of what's truly important to us and prioritizing those things. And so for me, this concept actually kind of resonates in a way with the Dave Ramsey thesis. It's the whole live and give like no one else that he talks about. I actually think these things are consistent because what Die with Zero is doing is it's showing you that it's not just about accumulating money over time, but it's the fact that you can live a life that's rich, but it's rich in experiences and like deepens your relationships. And that's the best use of your money. But these two concepts have to kind of reconcile with each other. And this is kind of the way I think about it. Because I know you're thinking, wait, but doesn't Dave Ramsey just teach us to save and invest for the future? And that's like the whole point. And yes, he does. However, I think the die with zero concept, it's not like mutually exclusive with Dave Ramsey's teaching. It's like, in my view, at least the way I look at it, it's a natural progression of the same principles, which is being intentional about your finances. When you're intentional with your money, you're being intentional with your life. We can create that sense of freedom, that flexibility that allows us to pursue our own passions, our own interests, even if it means spending more of our resources on experiences. You know, Rachel Cruz was on her YouTube channel. She's one of the Ramsey personalities, and she actually did a review of this book, and it was kind of interesting to watch her wrestle with some of these same concepts. She didn't necessarily agree with the final premise of Die with Zero, where you have essentially $0 left at the end of your life. You have effectively spent your nest egg on experiences with loved ones, with friends, intentionally, of course, but to the point where the goal is not to have leftover money at the end of life. That like you will be the best steward of your own finances if you make the decisions of what to do with your hard-earned money throughout your life. And it does challenge, and it kind of talks about it, it does challenge the whole idea of generational wealth, of like leaving an inheritance to your children or your children's children. And I think that that's a principle that if there's any disagreement in the two concepts, it might be there, of the idea of having zero left. But at the very least, the way I think of it is you can at least make that decision, or like think more about what the appropriate ratio is. Because I think, at least in my mind, the default, once you've escaped the debt trap and you're saving and investing, and you've lived that life where you were living paycheck to paycheck. I remember back in college checking my Wells Fargo app to see if I had enough money for like gas and Starbucks that day. And so I think when you have that mindset and you finally start to do a budget and get an emergency fund and finally experience the peace that comes with financial freedom, like it's a very real thing. And sometimes it's hard to like switch the mindset of like, okay, once I've hit certain long-term investment goals and retirement goals, maybe it is time for me to experience more freedom in life. And that's the way I look at this, because this has very much been a part of the decision making that Savannah and I have made about like what our long-term career should be. And is it okay in our 30s and 40s to prioritize other life experiences outside of our primary careers? Spoiler alert. Yes, it is. But that's what gets into the importance of intentionality, because the key to making it work is being intentional about your finances and your life. And we need to be clear about what is truly important to us to be able to actually prioritize those things. And so this is the consistency. This is the big, I guess, core thesis of both Die with Zero and the Dave Ramsey baby steps. And it's the freaking budget. Create a freaking budget. Because your budget, the way you spend your money, reflects your values, and being mindful about how you're spending your time, your energy, and your money, that makes all the difference. So it's not just about like cutting back expenses and saving money forever, but it's actually, you'll then have the money to invest, and you'll have the money to create a life that is in alignment with the things that you value. So I want to leave you with this challenge today. Don't accept average. And I mean that in like the Dave Ramsey sense of like normal sucks, because it does. Average is a $700 and something car payment. Average is hundreds of dollars of your minimum payment for a credit card balance. Like that's average and it sucks. Normal sucks. But average can also just be the office space life where all you're doing is living to work. Like you're commuting, you're clocking in, you're clocking out, and you're making enough money so that you can hope that you can finally, do that trip to Europe with your family when you're 67 and a half. Like you don't have to wait for that. You can be intentional with your finances and your life. And you can create a budget that reflects your values and prioritize the things that are actually important to you. And remember, it's not just about accumulating wealth, because it's not. I don't think it's about having the biggest nest egg that you can hand down to your kids when you die. Like, that's kind of depressing, actually, when you think about it. But you can work hard and invest intentionally and save intentionally and budget intentionally to invest in the experiences and memories with the people that you love, so that you can both live like no one else and die with zero regrets. May the force be with you.